All right, welcome back. So we've got a number of problems in this section that are based on this graph. This graph is on page 873 in the textbook. If you don't like my version of it, because let's face it, I'm Rembrandt, I am not. Okay, but long ago I've come to terms with my not skills in drawing. So let's start and let's make it a little smaller actually. Okay, so let's start by let's actually fill some of these in a little better. Okay, sorry about that, just a little OCD. Okay, so let's start by taking problems 39 to 42. So 39. This is supposed to be y equals f of x. And 39 asks us to analyze the limit, and this is what it's written as. It says limit as x approaches -1, and there's a little positive sign here, of f of x. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit. So limit as x approaches -1. Now this little positive sign indicates that we're coming from values greater than -1. Another way that I might say it is from the right. Okay, so if we look at our graph, okay, we're looking for -1. -1 is here. Okay, as we come from the right, so from the right is this side, as I'm marking, we're getting close to -2. So the answer here is -2. Okay, the next one, number 40, it's the limit as x approaches -1 from the left of f of x equals, and from the left, actually, it's going to get to the same thing, right? So as we get from the left, so this means, sorry, I didn't explain it. The little minus means from the left, okay? Or values less than -1. Okay, so as we come along this side, we're also getting to -2. Okay, let's take a look at 41. So one thing that we can say is when both of these values are the same, then the limit exists. Move these over. Sorry, it's hard to see everything that you want, but since limit as x approaches -1 from the right of f of x equals -2, and limit x approaches -1 from the left of f of x equals -2, then we can say the limit as x approaches -1 of f of x equals -2. So in this case, we can say that this limit exists, okay, because the limit from both sides exists and they are the same, okay? So that's question 41. The limit as x approaches -1 of f of x equals -2. Okay, now let's take a look at this graph again. What's happening exactly at -1? Well, f of -1 is actually not equal to -2. F of -1 here actually equals, if we look at the graph, you can see it's -3. Okay. The value of the function is indicated by this solid dot. Okay. Here, it doesn't have the value there. It's instead indicated by that solid value, the solid dot value. Okay, so while the limit exists and equals -2, the actual value of the function here is -3. Okay, all right, I'm going to take this graph and copy it to a new page. Because this graph is going to be coming back. Let's take a look at problem 43. 43 says we're going to take the limits as x approaches 2 from the left of f of x. So now we're looking at 2. So 2 is here, this x value. Okay. From the left, it equals -2 again. Oh, how original, right? The last one all had -2 except for the function value. Okay. That was 43. Let's take a look at 44. 44, as you can guess, is the limit as x approaches 2 from the right of f of x. But what's that going to be? Well, as we come in from the right, it's actually not going to be -2, is it? Okay, as we're getting closer and closer to x equals 2, okay, from this side, our f of x is actually getting closer to this point where the y value is 1. Okay, so in this case, the limits are not equal. Okay, so as you can guess, 45, the limit as x approaches 2, not from the left or right, of f of x, we say that does not exist. Okay, in order for that limit to exist, it has to exist from both sides, and it has to be the same from both sides. Okay, and 46 f of 2 equals, well, here that does exist. Okay, it's given by this solid point here. Sorry, it's given by that solid point there. So here we'll say f of 2 also equals -2. Okay? All right. Any questions? None. Good. That's awesome. All right. Let's go ahead. I got one more on this. Let's one more set. Let's do. Let me move these out of the way. Mm-hmm. Do that here. Do that here. Okay, so we're gonna look at what's happening at 5. Okay. So add x equals 5 and as x approaches 5. Okay. So 5 is actually this point here. Okay. This one's actually the easiest one to deal with. Limit as x approaches 5 from the left of f of x equals, as x approaches 5 from the left, you get, what's that, 4. Limit as x approaches 5 from the right of f of x, you also get 4. Okay. Therefore, since they are the same, the limit as x approaches 5 of f of x equals 4. On top of that, at 5, f of x is given by this closed dot. So f of 5 equals 4. Okay. All right. That's it for this video. I'll be back with a new one shortly.